now that we've gone through how we're going to work together and how my team works, we're now going to go through the whole step by step of the process of what we need to do to get you a house. So the first step is getting your financing in order, getting pre-approved or pre-qualified. There is a difference between the two. Getting pre-qualified is verbally just basically giving your information to a lender, and getting pre-approved is actually handing them financial statements so it can get you pre-approved. And you'll also go through the underwriting process that will conditionally pre-approve you, which would make you a stronger offer compared to a pre-qualification. Okay. And if you have more questions about that, the lender can fill you more in with more detail about the whole pre-approval and pre-qualification process. So the next step we would do is obviously I'm sending you some properties to take a look at, homes to see which ones you like. So what I want you to do is take that list of homes that you like, and I want you to drive by these homes. Go see the neighborhoods. You see if it's something that you like, that you're comfortable with, and then if whichever ones you do like, we'll schedule showings to do it. But more often than not, you can eliminate homes just by driving by them and find out if you like the neighborhood or the exterior of the property or not. So that'll help narrow our search down as much as possible. Because we don't, honestly, I don't want to show you 30, 40, 50 homes. It's not because I don't want to, because when you start looking at too many homes, you tend to forget what you're looking at. It all starts to come together. So the least amount that we look at, the better. So once you do your drive-bys, then we'll set up some times to go look at some houses in person. And then what I want you to do is put a star next to one that you think is your favorite from the beginning before we even start looking at it, and let's see at the end if it's the one that you really end up choosing to want to write an offer on. Okay. So when we get ready to present an offer, a few things I want you to keep in mind is right now we're at record lows in inventory. Our inventory right now is I think is at 1.8 months of inventory in the market, and on a balanced market, it's 6.0. So we are in a really strong seller's market. And with that being said, if it's a home that's fairly new to the market, and when I say fairly new, anything is less than 30 days, we have to be very aggressive in presenting an offer. We need to write a very strong, what I like to say is a seller's offer. So something that's so compelling and such a good offer that they're compelled to not turn it down or look at another offer if they have one, or even counter offer it. So that's the kind of offer we want to write on a home that's fairly new to the market. So in that, if we're in a situation where it could happen, where it's a multiple offer situation, it kind of changes the game up. There are a few techniques that I use when we're writing offers for that. One of the things I like to use best is to save you money. So we can put something that's called an escalation clause in the contract, which means, let's say your initial offer, it's a $400,000 house. Your initial offer is $390,000, but you're willing to pay $410,000 for it. We'll write the offer for $390,000. We'll put the verbiage in the contract saying you'll pay up to $410,000 or $1,000 up to $10,000 or $410,000 with proof of those other offers. So let's say they had another offer that was 405. Well, you're willing to pay 1,000 over that up to 410, so you'll pay 406. So that way we don't put this high number out there and you just wasted $4,000. We're saving you some money because we're putting that escalation clause in there. Other ways are shorter closing dates, shorter inspection periods, things of that nature. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If we end up getting to that scenario, I just want to kind of give you a little bit of information on that. So another thing I want to mention, I didn't mention before writing the offer, we'll do a market analysis. What I come up with is a comparative market analysis, a CMA. It basically does a breakdown of what has sold in that neighborhood and for how much. And I even go into looking at, if it's a 2-car garage, 3-car garage, pool, so on, all those things come into play, to help determine what the value is. There's no science to it. It's all appraisals are kind of opinionated, but you still want to kind of have an idea of if the home is worth what you're about to pay for it. So that's what I want to do. I want to make sure you don't spend more than what you're supposed to. So anyways, once we find the house which we want, we present that offer. Once they accept your offer, we have to move quickly. There's a lot of things, especially at the very beginning, that we have to get done. We have to get your escrow deposit deposited, and that's going to go to the title company. It'll be held until closing, or if we cancel before closing during the inspection period, then you'll get that money back. So typically on a contract, if we're not competing against anybody else, I do a 10-day inspection period. That's plenty of time. It takes about 24 hours to get somebody out there to do inspection, maybe 48, and then we usually have the report back that same evening, or if not the next day, the worst case scenario. So within 2 or 3 days, we should know everything we need to know. And if we need to hire anybody else, any other specialists who are out there for pools, septic and well, whatever it may be, we can get them out there with plenty of time. Again, we just don't need all that extra time. Like sometimes people at 15 days or so, it's not really necessary. So once we do that, we get your escrow done. Again, within 3 business days. We also want to order your home inspection at the same time. Um, for obvious reasons, we want to move quickly. So, with you're talking about the home inspection, just to kind of bring to your attention, this is an as-is contract. If you're buying a used home, you're buying it as is. We can ask for repairs, we can ask for credits, but the sellers are not obligated to make those credits or repairs. So we can certainly ask, but I always tell people to look past some of the cosmetic issues. You got, chipped tile, a scratched cabinet, a loose door handle, whatever that may be. We need to look past those things. We need to look at more important things like your roof, your plumbing, your electrical, your AC, so on and so forth. If any of those items are issues, we need to ask for a repair or credit. And again, they can still deny us if it's still an issue, but and at that point, it's up to you if you want to continue forward with the issues that we know about, or if you want to back out and move on to something else. Okay, so that is your protection period and that inspection period. I can't stress that enough, that it's important that you make your decision if you want to back out during that period or not. Because if you do back out after that, good chance that you're not going to get your escrow money back. Okay. I forgot to mention. Let me backtrack to when we're presenting the offer. You will have an escrow deposit, as I just mentioned. I typically do 1% of the purchase price. So if it's $400,000, I'll say 4,000 escrow. If it's 200, 2,000. So just as a reminder, we can always kind of fluctuate. It doesn't have to be exact science. So if it's like 250,000, we could just do 2,000 or whatever it may be. So, anyways, once we get past the inspection period, you're happy with everything. Either we got repairs or credit, or there was really nothing wrong. Then we'll move on and order the appraisal. And your lender is going to order the appraisal. They don't have anything to do with the appraisal company. They just call this company up to come out there. They're going to go check out some comps, drive around. They're going to go run through the house, get an idea of the condition of the home, and then within about a week, usually we get the appraisal back. And at that point, the appraisal is basically there to determine, is this property worth what you're about to pay for it? So if the appraisal, you're purchasing a house for $400,000, the appraisal comes back at $390,000. We have a few choices. The first choice is the obvious choice. We're going to ask the sellers to come down on their asking price. Most times I usually am able to get them down. If it's a few $1,000s, we can say, hey, we need you to come down. They don't have, we're not going to pay more than what the bank says it's worth. Two, if they're not willing to come down completely, let's say it's a larger number that's apart. Let's say it's $15,000, and they're not willing to come down that much. We can somehow try to find a medium to where we meet in the middle somewhere. Them come down 10,000, you bring an additional 5,000 to close the table. Again, this all depends on if this is something that you really, really want. If it's not and you're willing to walk away, we can walk away and go to the next one. And lastly, is if there's no budging from them, but you really want this house, you could bring those additional costs to the closing table. So those are going to be your options when the appraisal comes in. If it comes in at value, great. Anything more than that, if it comes in at $410,000, you have built-in equity in the house. Awesome news, which I would love to give you that news. So we'll see. So anyways, the cost of, and I didn't mention this about the inspection as well, the cost of an inspection, depending on what inspections you're going to get done, an older, larger house is going to probably cost more because they're going to have to do more inspections, and if there's a crawl space or whatever it is, like there's different variations. So typically it's going to range between about $300 to $750 to do an inspection. Typically around the middle. I just had one today. It was $550 for a regular home inspection, a termite inspection, and a wind mitigation inspection. So it fluctuates. And for the appraisals are typically around $400 to $500. give or take. So you're looking at an out of cost expense somewhere around $800 to $1,200. That's not money you'll get back if you know. So so that's how it goes. So once we get the appraisal done, then we're gonna pretty much the lender is going to go through the underwriting process, and they're going to finalize all the fine details and everything else. They'll probably ask you questions about the same stuff over and over again, so don't get too annoyed with it. And once that's all said and done, we're pretty much set to close. The day before closing or the day of closing, we'll schedule a final walkthrough, make sure everything in the house is done. If there were any repairs that needed to be made, whatever it is, all the finalized details, we need to figure that out before the final walkthrough. And after final walkthrough, we prepare for closing. At closing, once you sign all the documents and the lender funds the closing and they come back, everything's good, I hand you the keys and you're all set. Any questions?
Not right now.
All right.
See some houses.
Let's go do it.